Hey, good morning and welcome to Coffee with Kevin. Hey, this morning it's really clear. It's looking like it's going to be a really good day today here in Oklahoma. We've got some really amazing weather today compared to the last few days, which has been extremely windy. I think it was on Sunday where, man, it was like we were in a hurricane. It was so bad. But hey, let's talk about what's going on this morning. We've got three signals that are flashing all different colors at the same time. We've got a credibility signal in front of us, we've got a legality signal in front of us, and an economic signal. And when you see all those signals on the railroad at one time, all those different colors, it's not good. It means that things are bad, and we need to shut it down and find out what's going on and figure it out before we go ahead. What we're experiencing here in the United States right now is the same thing. It's disgusting. And we've got to shut it down. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Kevin. As I look out the window today, I want to connect three trains that are converging onto the same one single track. So here's the issue. On one track, you've got a train of credibility. We've already talked about the Epstein files and the growing gap between Donald Trump and what he has said publicly and what documents are starting to show. And that's a credibility problem. And in any system, once credibility starts to slip, everything else riding on it becomes unstable. But on the second track, we have a train where things are getting more serious. There's been language used recently, including the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth talking about no quarter and no mercy. Now that may sound bravado and tough talk. It may sound like battlefield rhetoric, but under international law, that's not just talk. The Geneva Conventions are very clear on this exact point. You cannot order that there are no survivors. You cannot signal that surrender won't be accepted. You cannot operate under a framework where the enemy is denied quarter. In plain terms, you don't get to say, take no prisoners. That kind of language sits directly in the zone of international humanitarian law, which defines it as potential war crimes. Not because of politics, but it signals unlawful treatment of people who are surrendering or no longer able to fight. So when leaders start using language that aligns with prohibited conduct, that's a signal that needs to be inspected, not ignored. Now there's another layer of this. People are throwing around the phrase crimes against humanity. That's a much higher bar. That requires a widespread or systematic attack against civilians. Are we getting closer to that now? Is what's going on in Iran exactly that, when you have 140 to 160 girls who are killed at a school that we supposedly knew was a school ahead of time, and yet we bombed it anyway? We've got to look at other potential war crime exposure if the rhetoric translates into actual policy or orders, and that's why oversight matters. The Republican members of Congress are AWOL. They are not engaged. They are complicit in their duties of oversight. The rules of engagement, the targeting guidance, the after-action reports all need to be reviewed by Congress. And if illegal orders are being issued from the President to the Secretary of Department of Defense, they need to act. The Pentagon's Inspector General needs to review it. Allies need to make it clear they won't participate in unlawful operations. And the world needs to preserve the evidence now, not later. Because once the train leaves the yard, it's a lot harder to reconstruct what happened later on. Now let's move to the third track. And this is the one that is hitting people right in the pocketbook, the economy. This conflict is no longer just a foreign policy issue. It's an energy shock. Oil has surged above $115 a barrel. There's projections that if the Strait of Hormuz continues to be shut down and Iran starts to target fuel storage or oil storage centers, it can actually skyrocket to over $200 a barrel. That's not theoretical. That's fuel, freight, groceries, everything moving through the system getting more expensive. The Strait of Hormuz is under pressure. Energy infrastructure has been hit. Supply routes are being rerouted. And when that happens, it's like constricting a main line on the railroad. Everything backs up. Everything slows down. And the cost of moving every single car goes up. We're already seeing global markets reacting. Europe, Asia, central banks warning about inflation, government stepping in to try to cushion the blow. And here's the key point. Even countries not firing a single shot are preparing for this war through higher fuel, higher shipping costs, higher electrical prices, and tighter economic conditions. This isn't just about gas prices. A war-centered centered on energy choke points acts like a tax on the entire global economy. And when you step back and look at all three tracks together, here's what you see: a credibility crisis, a legality crisis, and an economic crisis. And all three are connected, because when leadership credibility breaks down, legal boundaries get tested. And when those boundaries get tested, the economic consequences don't stay contained. They ripple out across the entire system. On the railroad, when you see signals stacking up like this, you don't ignore them. You slow down, you verify, you make changes, and you make sure you're not about to run into something you can't stop. As we look down the track of another day, let's keep this conversation rolling.